So now we're going to talk about putting color on our face. Now that we have our nice basic highlight and shadow, our contouring done. So all genders are typically going to put some sort of color on their face. Typically all genders are going to do eyebrows, a little bit of eyeliner, maybe a little bit of blush, and some lip color if necessary. And then female presenting characters are typically going to use eyeshadow as well, but that can kind of depend on the character. So how much color you put on face, the style of makeup that you put on your face is going to be a conversation between the actor and either the costume designer, the makeup designer, or the director, kind of depending on what the production staff looks like. In my department, I handle both costumes and makeup and hair. Other departments have an independent costume designer or independent makeup designer. You do some local regional theater, you do some community theater. You may not have anybody kind of guiding you on makeup at all. So it can really vary on a show-by-show basis. So typically, what you're going to do is you want to make sure that your eyebrows are highlighted. They're going, stage lights are really going to wash out a lot of the color on your face. So you want to make sure that you are accentuating those eyebrows so that so it doesn't look like you don't have any eyebrows. So you can use an eyebrow pencil for that. Those come in lots and lots of different types. There can be a cream base that you apply with a brush. I prefer a pencil base just because it's easier, and those can be just a regular pencil type that you'll need to have a pencil sharpener for. You want to make sure that that is in your kit. Or it can be a twisty sort of thing, like that. I like this one from Ulta because it's twisty and I don't have to worry about making sure that I have my sharpener with me, and it also has a handy dandy little brush on the other end. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go in and I'm going to fill in. You can see I have some bald spots in my eyebrows. I want to make sure that those are filled in so that I'm presenting a nice solid eyebrow. I want to add a little bit more color as well. There are some techniques that you can use to completely block out your eyebrows and trace in a whole new shape. And you and that gets used pretty frequently if you're doing period shows. So if you're doing like 1920s, 1930s, even 1940s, all of those eyebrow shapes are going to be different for women presenting characters especially. So learning to block out those eyebrows and draw in an entirely new shape can be a really, really great tool to have in your kit. But today, we're just going to use my regular eyebrow shape, and we're just going to very gently color that in. So I'm going to go in and just make sure all those little bald spots are colored in. And I'm just giving that a little more definition across the top. Ooh, look at that little bald spot right there. And that feels really heavy, but on stage, it's going to wash out and it's going to look more natural. I'm also trying to do this on my computer, y'all, so I apologize if it doesn't look perfect, but I'm going to go in with my little brush, just going to brush over that, blending in the makeup and making sure all my little eyebrow hairs are going in the same direction. Cool. All right, so typically all genders are going to want to make sure that their eyebrows are darkened up a little bit. Don't want to get lost. All right, so the next thing I like to do is blush. Blush comes in, again, lots of different varieties. You can have a cream-based blush, or you could have a powder-based blush. Your powder-based blush could be loose or it could be a compact like this. I like the little compact. Use a little brush, and we're just going to highlight the top of that cheekbone. And again, the type of blush that you use, the color blush that you use, is going to be dependent on the period that you're working in. Different periods had different styles and different colors that were popular. So if you're doing something that is in the 1980s, you may use more of an icy pink based blush. If you're doing something that's based more in the 1930s, you may use a more rosy blush. So it just kind of depends on when your play is set. And again, you tend to have to use more than you think you're going to, because those lights are really going to wash you out, just like the terrible lighting in my home office is washing me out. So yeah, so a little bit of blush right there at the tops of your cheeks. All right, the next thing I personally like to do is I like to move on to my lips. So if you want to make sure that your lip color is going to stay where you want it to stay, you're going to want to look for a long-lasting lip color. And that tends to come in these tubes like this. If you look for like the 12-hour or the 24-hour lip colors, the stuff that says it's kiss proof and it's coffee proof and it's drink proof, that's going to be what you're going to want to look for, because the typical cream based lip colors are going to come off the minute that you interact with somebody, you hug somebody on stage, you kiss somebody on stage, you have a quick change. You don't want that lip color to leave your lips. You don't want it to get on your costume. You don't want it to get on other actors. So if you fill your kit with these long-lasting lip colors, your life is going to be a lot easier. For female presenting folks, I personally like to have a good neutral, a good red, and a good kind of a darker color. And then as you do shows, you tend to kind of supplement based on what your needs are. But a good neutral is going to take you a really, really long way, because even if you're supposed to be presenting as natural, you still want to have a little bit of color on your lips. I like to use a lip pencil first, just to outline the shape of your lips. You may want to outline inside your lip line or outside your lip line, depending on whether or not you want to make your lips look larger or smaller. And there's a lot of information about that in some of the handouts that I gave. So I tend to use a neutral-based lip liner unless I'm going for something that's really, really dark. Then I'll use the red-based lip liner. But here, we're just going to go neutral. So let's see if I can do this looking in the computer. There we go. And again, this is something that if you're doing a period show, you'll want to do some research on period makeup shapes. There's a lot of differentiation between lip shapes especially, but then as we get into the mid-century and beyond, 1950s, 1960s, there's a lot of different shapes and colors used in eye makeup as well. But we see a lot of differentiation in lip shapes from decade to decade. If you think about the kind of the Cupid's bow lips that were really popular in the 1920s, and then you get a more natural lip in the 1930s, and the 1940s tends to be really broad and really large. So you can play a lot with the shape of the lip using your lip liner. And then you go in and you fill in your color. Woof. Like so. And so this is my go-to neutral on stage. It reads as, pink neutral for me. But your neutral is going to be different than mine because everybody's a little different. Again, I really, 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 really recommend if you're wearing lip color to go with like the long lasting, the 24-hour, the 12-hour, whatever. Just about every makeup brand has a long lasting lip color. And as soon as it dries, it's going to stay there for the entire show. You're not going to worry about it rubbing off on your costume, rubbing off on somebody else, coming off when you do a quick change. It's a really great tool to have in your toolkit. So 10/10 recommend. All right, so we've got our eyebrows done, we've got our cheeks done, we've got our lips done. Now we're going to look at our eyes. So eyes can be really, really tricky. I'm honestly not very good at eyes. There are a lot of people who are a lot better at them, but I make do with what I can do. There are a bazillion YouTube tutorials out there if you want to learn how to do the perfect smoky eye. I use a very, very neutral eye for most of my stage makeup. Because that's all I've had to do. So, but all genders are going to want to use a little bit of eyeliner and probably a little bit of mascara as well, because again, you've got that distance going and you want to make sure that they can see your eyes, they can see your expression, and that those eyes are kind of popping out of your face. So, so most genders are going to be using a little bit of eyeliner at least. How much eye makeup you use comes down to character and personal preference and any instructions that you may receive from your designer or your director. So personally, I like to use a combination of a crayon eyeliner, and this is going to be the easier one. Folks who are not used, there we go. Folks who are not used to using eyeliner, the crayon is really going to be your go-to tool. I would not purchase a liquid eyeliner if you're not used to using eyeliner, if you don't have a lot of experience. If you're just learning, going with a crayon eyeliner is definitely going to be the way to go. You're going to want to have a dark eyeliner, and then if you want to kind of be a little extra, I like to have a white eyeliner in my kit as well. And the white eyeliner is going to be great kind of at the corners of the eye and on that tear line right here and right here. And what that's going to do is that's going to open up your eyes and it's going to make them look a little bit bigger than they are. And anything that we can do to kind of accentuate our features and make them look a little bigger and a little bolder is going to be more visible, especially on those really, really distant stages. Think like your Keenan stage. So your basic eyeliner is this is the way I do it. Everyone, you can do it any way that you want, but I learned by holding my eyelash down and then just very gently highlighting right across that tip, right across the bottom edge of the eyelid, as close up to the lash line as you can get. And you can see, compare that eye to that eye, this eye is already popping out quite a bit, right? And so then you can very gently fill in a little bit of color on the bottom lash line as well. And that is just going to help that eye really, really pop out like that. So see the difference between that eye and that eye. This eye is going to be way more visible on stage, right? So if you want to go a little extra, you can go in with your white and really kind of get in the corner of the eye right there. And highlight that lash line. Typically, I go about halfway across and then blend in with my darker eyeliner. But you do you, friends. Makeup is very, very personal. There we go, like that. All right, so that is kind of your baseline, super, super basic. We're just going to add a little bit of accentuation to that eye. A lot of folks don't even feel the need to do this in smaller stages like Leggett, and that's okay. But if you're doing a larger stage like Keenan, most actors should be doing at least a basic little bit of eyeliner. But on smaller, intimate stages, unless your character needs it, it's not necessarily mandatory. It's not necessarily needed because you've got that close-up, that intimacy already. So if we're doing a little bit of eyeshadow, I'm going to do that on this other eye here. I like to use a eyeshadow primer, and that is just something that is going to help the eyeshadow stick to my eye, especially in situations where we're under hot stage lights and we may be a little sweaty. So that just goes on the eyelid. And that works just like our face primer that we did in the first video. And I like to do it all the way up to that brow line because I'm going to go in with eyeshadow all the way up to that brow line. Oh, contact lens wants to settle funny now. Of course it does. All right, so if you wear eyeshadow in a show, you should have a basic eyeshadow palette. I prefer kind of a neutral based eyeshadow palette. This has a lot of colors that I can use for a good kind of neutral. Depending on the colors that you need, you may want to branch out. I've used a lot of blue eyeshadow because that can be really kind of bold and striking on stage. It just really depends on what your character may need. So you're going to want to have your eyeshadow brush. And I would like to go in with a cream. Oop, there we go. I like to go in with a cream kind of neutral and do that all the way up to the brow bone. And that's just going to give us a good base to work with. And a lot of these colors come down to personal preference and your skin tone. These are the colors that work on my skin tone, but everybody's skin is different. All right, so once I've got my base on, I'm going to do a lighter color kind of towards the center of the eye, because the center and the nose, because that's going to open up that and make that look a little brighter. And then I'm going to go in with a darker color as we get out towards the as we get into the crease and as we get out towards the edge of the eye, and that's going to kind of elongate and make the eye look a little larger. So for my color here towards the center of the face, I think I am going to add a little sparkle. So I'm going to go with this kind of peachy color here, which has a little shimmer on it, because shimmer makes me happy. I'm going to do that towards the center here. You can see how it's really brightening up that. It's very shimmery, especially in this light. All right, so got that shimmer there in the center. Now I'm going to go in with, we'll go in with maybe just a matte brown, a matte tan here on the crease, and as we get out towards the outside of the eye, and then we're going to go ahead and blend all of that in. And like I said, I'm not very good at eyes, I'm not going to lie, but this kind of gets me from point A to point B. Blend that out, kind of go in with a little more of the lighter color, help that blend. All right, now that I've done my eyeshadow, I can go in with my eyeliner. And for this, actually, I'm going to use my liquid on this eye. Since I've got a little more dramatic look, I can go ahead, I feel confident using my liquid. So I'm going to do that on the top, and I'm going to use my crayon on the bottom. So for the liquid, what I like to do is hold my eyelash down, start from the center, work my way across. I tend to do kind of a bolder look when I use the liquid, so I'm going to fill in that line all the way down to the lash line. This is really hard to do on the computer, y'all. There we go. And then when I get out to that outside line, then I can go ahead and kind of stretch out that skin and get that cat eye. And so see, that's opening up this eye. This is a little bit more of a youthful look, a little bit more of an ingenue sort of look. But you can see that eye compared to that eye just looks a little bolder, a little more feminine. And now I'm going to go in, I'm going to pull this dark eyeliner down about halfway across. And then I am going to fill in with the white, blend that across. The lighting in here is terrible. It's reflecting that corner really badly for some reason. So, don't know what to tell you about that, but you get the gist. Alright, so once you've got your eyeshadow on, once you've got your eyeliner on, your last finishing touch for eyes is going to be your mascara. Again, mascara is a very, very personal thing. There are a ton of different brands, there are a ton of different styles, there are a ton of different brushes. Some people prefer the kind of the plastic nubby little brushes. Some people prefer the older style bristle brushes. I like the bristle brushes, but everybody's a little different. I'm a super, super big fan of good old-fashioned Maybelline Great Lash. It's been around for like 30 years, but it works really well. So for that, You're just going to start at the base of the eyelashes and pull it out to the tips. And you're going to do this in small, and you're going to do a couple of different layers, and you're going to do lighter layers. You want it to look natural. You don't want it to be clumpy. So if you try to go on, like put it all on at once, it's going to clump up. So if you kind of start on one eye, and then move on to the other, like that. Make sure you get the tips. And then you can go underneath, catch the bottom lashes. I tend, personally, to really highlight the outside edges of my eyes. If I feel like it opens up my eye shape, it makes them look a little bigger. But everybody's eye shape is a little different, so how you structure your eye makeup is going to be a very, very personal sort of thing. So yeah, so here we are. This is probably a little more dramatic look. I've got a little bit of shimmer here. This is a little more of a subtle look. But for me, this is my kind of baseline, basic stage makeup routine. How much with the eye makeup that I go, how much of that I do really, really depends on character. I tend to do a lot of early modern plays, so I tend to play a lot of men. So I'm going to go a little lighter on the eye makeup when I am playing male presenting characters. So it really depends on your character. It depends on the time period. So you're going to do a little research, you're going to do some experimentation, and you're going to see what works best with your personal face, because every face is different, and that's what makes makeup awesome. So yeah, so that's all we're going to do today. If you have any questions, email me, drop a message in the forums, and we will see you on Wednesday, and then we're going to do some old age makeup, which is really, really fun. So yeah, y'all have a good day. Thanks so much. Bye.